Hello guys, Dandifying here, making a very different video. Today, we are going to be talking about psoriatic arthritis. This already sounds like an educational video, but I really want to talk about it because it is something I do suffer from. It is something I will have for the rest of my life, so I really wanted to share my experiences with it with you and how it's been affecting my everyday life. So for me, being able to talk about this comfortably and freely is a very liberating experience. And I decided to go ahead with making this video because I also felt that maybe one of you out there, or maybe someone watching this, maybe this resonates a bit with you. Perhaps maybe you also have a chronic condition. Maybe you also have an illness that you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life. Maybe you've been dealing with chronic pain, and maybe by sharing my experiences and sharing what I've been through, that might resonate with you. So this will be the introductory video into my experiences with psoriatic arthritis. So, first things first, I should probably explain what psoriatic arthritis is very briefly. Psoriatic arthritis is an inflammatory condition that sometimes happens in people who have psoriasis. Now, I really want to stress the sometimes part. Just because someone has psoriasis does not automatically mean that they get psoriatic arthritis. It's just a chance that it could happen. Now, if you don't know what psoriasis is, you probably know what it is. You might have heard it before. Psoriasis is a skin condition. It's an autoimmune disease where your immune system attacks your skin. And what happens, it kind of looks like a rash. Your skin, you overproduce skin cells. And what happens is you're left with a rash. It's kind of scaly, it's really itchy, and it's a really annoying condition to have. So with psoriatic arthritis, it is an autoimmune disorder where your immune system attacks your joints. So what happens is your joints get inflamed, they can get really sore, and they can get really stiff. Now, the condition varies depending on person to person. No two people will be the same. For some people, maybe only one joint is affected, but for some other people, it might be a lot more than that. So the degree of the condition can vary quite a bit. So for me, for my psoriatic arthritis, it is quite aggressive, to say the least. It pretty much affects all the joints on the right-hand side of my body. That's not an exaggeration. So I'm talking knee, foot, my little toes, all the little joints in my right hand here, my wrist, pretty much all of my spine, the back of my neck. So yeah, it affects a lot of places for me. In terms of the psoriasis, I've actually got that under control with medication. And for me, I only developed psoriasis on my fingers. I developed them on the tips of my fingers, where my nail beds are. In fact, I used to call my right hand my monster hand because of just how horrible it looked when my condition was really, really bad. But I am happy to say it's not a monster hand anymore. And what I will also add is, God, the tips of my fingers looked so terrible before. What happens when you have the psoriasis on your fingers here, as well as the inflamed joints, it kind of caves in, like at the cuticle, like where your nail bed is, and it just looks so So it looks so bad. I don't really know what to say to that. And my nails, they just had all these like little holes in it. It looked terrible. And it felt terrible at the time too. Like I could barely close my hand because of how swollen it was. But I will talk a little bit more about my condition in a minute. So we should probably move on. All right, so how did it start? What was it like in the beginning? So I've had psoriatic arthritis for about 5 years now. I actually started first presenting with symptoms right after my birthday, which is kind of sad to think about. So I started experiencing abdominal pain at work one day, kind of in my lower right abdomen. And I thought, oh, this pain is different. I haven't felt this before. And I got a bit worried because I thought it was appendicitis, because that's where your appendix is, right? So I kind of panicked a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, I'm doing lots of heavy lifting at work. Maybe I just pulled something. But it didn't go away. The pain never went away. So I decided that I should probably get it checked. And I actually went to the emergency room because I really thought I had appendicitis because the pain was just slowly getting worse and it wasn't going away. But, they did their tests, they checked me out, and they didn't find anything. There was nothing they could find. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I did just pull something at work and I was overreacting. Unfortunately, the following months, it just never got better. The pain was always there and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And what I noticed is that I was getting pain in other places. So it wasn't just my lower right abdomen that was sore now, it was my knee that was sore. And then after another month or so, my ankle was getting sore and then my toes were getting sore. And it was at that point where I knew there was something wrong. I knew there was something wrong, like this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. This isn't the cause of work. This isn't something work related, right? Something was wrong. And God, I don't know how many doctors and specialists I saw over these months trying to figure out what was wrong with me, but it was a very, very hard time. And it wasn't until about, I think it was more than 6 months until I got a diagnosis, until someone figured out what was going on with me. I think it was more than 6 months. I think it was more like 7 or 8 months. I went undiagnosed and I was just dealing with this pain. So I went to see the rheumatologist. This was yet another specialist me and my GP decided to try. He looked me over and he's like, I think you have psoriatic arthritis. I remember him specifically looking at my fingers, like at how horrible my fingers had got, how swollen they were, and he saw the psoriasis that had developed on my fingertips, which is what gave it away, right? And after doing some more tests, he was able to confirm that, yeah, I'm confident that you have psoriatic arthritis. And I remember that day so well. Once I left the rheumatology office, I just started crying. I started crying. It was a very bittersweet moment for me because one, it's like, yes, I finally got a diagnosis. I knew there was something wrong with me. I was right. But at the same time, the doctor explained to me that there is no cure for psoriatic arthritis. It will only get worse from here on out. You are only in your mid-20s, and if you do not look after yourself now, you are going to be in a lot of trouble in the years to come. So that was a very, very emotional moment for me. So it was at that point I realized that the battle has just begun. That sounds so dramatic. But what I mean when I say that is the realization that there is no cure was a blow. It meant that my only hope was to slow down its progression as much as it can. Oh, it's a cat. Hello, Ashy. Have you come to brighten my day? We're talking about something very serious today. Sorry, getting distracted. So because there is no cure, hello, I had to quickly figure out a treatment plan and stick to it, because if left untreated for too long, it can cause permanent joint damage, which is really not a good thing. So the next few months after being diagnosed was basically just figuring out a treatment that works. And God, that was a really hard few months too. So treatment involved reducing inflammation as much as possible and controlling symptoms or managing symptoms. So for the next few months after being diagnosed, we just tried a whole bunch of different things. I don't know how many different kinds of medications I tried, but it was a very, very tough experience. Essentially, what they had to do... Oh, the cat came back. She left and then she came back. Essentially, what you take medication-wise are immune suppressant drugs. The idea is that by suppressing your immune system, it stops your immune system from attacking your joints. It makes sense, but the obvious downside to that is you have a suppressed immune system. So getting sick, bruises, cuts, anything of that sort will take much, much longer to heal, which is a giant pain in the ass. I just want to stress how much of an understatement that is. It's not easy having a suppressed immune system. On top of that, a lot of the medications you can say are pretty harsh, and a lot of the ones that I trialed had some really terrible side effects. And just as one example, one of the meds that I tried made my hair fall out. Luckily, I was born with very thick hair, but I remember taking a shower one day, just washing my hair. I looked down at my hands and it's just covered in hair. It was a nightmare. That really, really scared me. And so the process whenever I would try medication would be see the rheumatologist, get prescribed this medication, see how well it does, report back in a month or two, we'll do more blood tests to see if it did anything. And if it didn't work, we tried something else. And we basically had to do that for months. I'm not sure how long it was. It was a long time, maybe 6 months, I think. But what I will say now is my meds that I'm currently on haven't changed for a few years. So I've got a good thing going here. And I contemplated whether or not I should share this, but I will. One of the medications that I am on is an injection. It's called a biologic injection, and I have to give that one to myself every fortnight. And it hurts like a son of a bitch, I will be honest, but it does work. So there you go. I take injections fortnightly. So the other part of treatment is lifestyle changes. So I'm talking about diet and exercise. So I do see a physio regularly, and he does give me exercises to do, and these exercises are targeted at like strengthening certain joints, which does help. It is a lot of hard work and it is quite a commitment, but if you can commit to the exercises and the physio, it does help and it does work. Now, with diet, it's recognizing what foods cause a flare-up of your condition. And it is a very time-consuming thing trying to figure out what causes flare-ups or what causes an increase in inflammation in your body. And everyone is different. So basically what I resorted to doing is I would cut out a certain food. I would not eat it for a couple of weeks or a month, and then I would slowly reintroduce it to see how it affected me and my condition. So to me, it was worth doing. Like, I do know what foods make me feel worse now, but it was such a time-consuming thing to do. Not gonna lie. It's been a very hard journey, but one thing I will say is that I am doing much better than I was previously. So with my meds, they have been unchanged for years, which is a really good thing because that means my condition is stable. My inflammatory markers are good. In fact, I saw the rheumatologist not that long ago and he said everything was good, everything was all good, which is all I could really hope for. I've been sticking with all my physio stuff. It's hard, but it does work. And I am very grateful for the physios, my GP, and my rheumatologist who have helped me over these past few years, especially my GP. He's a good man, and you know, he didn't stop trying, which is really nice, and I really appreciate it. And I don't know if he realizes that because I've seen a lot of doctors over this really difficult period, especially when I was trying to get diagnosed. I saw so many doctors, and unfortunately, there were a handful who were not very understanding of my condition, who were just so dismissive of me and who just didn't take me seriously, and it made me really upset at the time. So I'm very lucky to have a set of doctors and a really good GP that actually listens and understands me. It feels good. In regards to symptoms like my pain levels, I'm always in pain. That's a really hard thing for me to say. I am always in pain, but the levels, like from day to day, will constantly change. So today, my hip's a little bit sore, my right hip, like right dead in there. My back is good. Usually my back is terrible, but today it's fine. My little toes are a little bit sore, but no, it's not too bad. And my hand is just a little stiff, but my hand doesn't hurt. I want to stress that it's just a little bit stiff. So yeah, I'm always in some degree of pain, but that's just my normal. You know, I don't want people to be alarmed by that, but that's really just my normal. So I'm happy that today's a pretty good day. There is so much more to talk about. I could really talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but I think it would be a good idea to turn this into a series. I did really enjoy sharing my experiences today. I know I didn't touch on everything, but it's so hard to keep track of all the little details, but this was good. This was a very liberating experience for me. So thank you guys so much for watching and for listening. I'm glad I got the opportunity to talk a little bit about it today. It was a very positive experience, and yeah, I really appreciate that you guys took the time to watch this. And if any of you out there also has a chronic condition, whether it's chronic pain or maybe you also have a lifelong condition, I hope this resonates with you, and maybe you can find some of this a bit relatable, and I hope it helps. I really hope it does. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.